What's up, everybody? Matt Kajeski here, back again with the Odd Shopper channel. And today we're talking some college basketball bets ahead of Monday, February the 6th. A very short slate of games, but we have a couple really high-profile games in the ACC and the Big 12. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. If you're listening on podcast, please leave a rating and review over there as well. We are sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook, and they have a phenomenal offer for you guys, a limited time offer when you want to take advantage of as soon as possible. Right now, when you head over to DraftKings Sportsbook, you can bet $5 on any game, any side. Whether it wins or loses, you are going to be paid out $200 in the form of free bets. You can take advantage of this by clicking the link in the video description, heading to DraftKings Sportsbook, making your first deposit of at least $5, then that $5 wager in any game, any team of your choosing, and you automatically get $200 in the form of free bets. The legal age for gambling in most states is 21. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's dive into the games. We're going to talk the marquee matchups, and then we'll get a little bit into the weeds here. Kicking things off, we have Duke taking on Miami. This is actually a rematch of a game we saw previously played this year, and one I think we might see a similar result where we actually had Duke as the winner, 2 points. It was 68-66. Really interesting game here. Duke was able to get past Miami, even though Miami shot a ton of threes, and they shot them fairly well. They actually shot 47.5% from three in that game. They just got demolished by Kyle Filipkowski, who scored 17 points and had 9 boards. That's going to happen a lot when you play Duke. But when you look at these teams, they're similar overall. Duke is 30th at KenPom, Miami's 37th, but these two teams are comprised way differently in terms of their roster. Duke is third in effective height. Miami is 272 in their team that shoots a ton of threes, and that's kind of been their stylistic point of view, their play style for the last couple of years. Now, Miami's actually 72nd in three-point percentage. The problem here against Duke is the Blue Devils are 29th at defending the three. They're actually a pretty good defensive team. They rank 43rd overall and, again, 29th out on the perimeter. Meanwhile, Miami, they're great on offense, 14th in offensive efficiency, but they rank 165th on defense. They're weak inside because of their height. Like, Duke is 6th in the country in rebounding. Miami is 154th. Part of the reason why we saw Filipkowski just demolish this Miami team previously. Now, that was on Duke's home court, and we're changing here. We're going to Miami's, who's actually had an awesome season this year, evidenced by the 37th ranking at KenPom. But the Blue Devils here covered this spread at +4. This is one I think might move a little bit to +3. So I grabbed the +4 right away. We'll back the Blue Devils here. And also, one last thing. Dariq Whitehead looks like he's nearing a return. He was shooting around ahead of their Saturday game. Didn't end up playing, but was jumping around with the team at the end of that rivalry game too. I don't know if he plays tonight, but I think we see Dariq Whitehead return very soon for Duke. Second game, we're going to head to the Big 12 in what is kind of a similar spot here. Texas taking on Kansas. Texas is a 4-point underdog. This game is a little bit of a higher total, 147, but we're going to be looking at the road team in Texas and taking the points again. Similar to our first matchup, these are two pretty evenly matched teams overall. Kansas is 11th right now at KenPom. Texas is 9th, and neither of these teams play with a ton of height. Texas is 275th. Kansas is 136, but there's very little differences among them. And Kansas does have some advantages here, so I don't want to take anything away from them. In particular, they're a great shooting team. You look at the way Texas is comprised. They're 23rd in offensive efficiency, 36th on defense. That's actually better than Kansas in both regards. Kansas 81st on offense, 54th on defense. But Kansas is awesome at shooting the three. They're inside the top 100 in three-point percentage. You look at where Texas is weakest on defense. That's defending the three, where they rank 123rd. Now, there's a couple other advantages to Texas. On the inside, they're 16th in two-point percentage this year. So even though they don't necessarily have some of the height, they're good at getting to the rim and scoring inside. Kansas, right around the top 50, defending that area, but they rely a lot on KJ Adams and Jalen Wilson. I think Texas is the deeper team when you look at their roster, and you can see that they played 10 to 12 guys on some nights. And Texas also forces a ton of turnovers. They're 19th in the country in turnovers forced. Kansas doesn't necessarily have a great point guard. DeJuan Harris, he handles this for the most part, but his turnover rate's actually kind of bad And you look at the team overall, they're 173rd in turnovers committed. That's another avenue for Texas potentially covering this spread in what should be an up-tempo, high-scoring game environment here. So we'll take the points with Texas. And last game we'll talk about, we're getting really in the weeds here. Weber State takes on Northern Colorado. Normally, we would just talk about a third higher profile game, but we don't have them on this slate. And as much as I wanted to talk about UW Milwaukee Green Bay, 17-point spread is not quite as appetizing here. But this is an interesting game. Northern Colorado, a home dog. They are plus 1.5 right now against Weber State. Both teams have had some injuries, and you're not going to find much on this, but Bryce Kennedy's been injured for Northern Colorado. He's only played in 7 games. Keith Dinwiddie's been injured for Weber State. He did average 21 minutes per game before the injury. But this is a rematch. You saw Weber State win the first game 81-72. But these teams are fairly matched overall for the most part, except for one advantage I think that Northern Colorado might exploit and we might be buying low on. That's why I like them as a dog. Offensive efficiency, Northern Colorado's 208. Weber State is 268. Defense, pretty wide gap here. Northern Colorado, 346th. Weber State, 160th. But Northern Colorado is actually pretty good at shooting threes, and they shoot a ton of them. 87th in three-point attempts per game, 68th in three-point percentage, and Weber State only defends them at the 264th mark. That's a pretty wide gap here, which I was surprised to see. Now you look across the board, like strength of schedule stuff, it's pretty even for these two teams. Weber State, they come in 145th. Northern Colorado's 116th in strength of schedule. And Weber State has a win over Utah State. They're 40th in the country per KenPom. But other than that, they only have two top 200 wins. Northern Colorado only has 2 top 200 wins. It's like neither of these teams have played a ton, but Northern Colorado's actually played the tougher competition here. So you want to look at record overall. I think that's why you see Northern Colorado with the worst record, but I think you can also buy them low. Not my favorite game, but if you're looking to sprinkle more action than just the 2 premier games, this is one I look at with Northern Colorado. All right, that'll do it for us today with the Odd Shopper channel. Let me know in the comment section what you think or if there are any other games you like tonight. And of course, you can always hit me up on Twitter at Matt_Gajeski. Always willing to chop up some college basketball. We'll be back again tomorrow and all throughout the week. So until then, we'll see y'all later and good luck, everyone.